Welcome back to Steve's Project Car Garage. My name is Steve. Today we're going to be lifting the engine a little bit to go ahead and replace the gasket on the oil pan because that was leaking some. And we're going to go ahead and finally get the water pump issue all sorted out. So grab yourself a cup of Jitter Juice and stick around. Alright, so this is an all too unfortunately familiar sight for me, but here's what's going on. So we had a water leak coming from the actual water pump itself, where the body of the pump housing had a stripped out screw in it that I tried to fix the helicoil. I don't know if you remember that from a while ago, but that didn't work out. So I ended up getting a new pump housing. So I've got the old one pulled off. I'm waiting for some Permatex Aviation to go ahead and put that on. Should be here in just an hour or so. And we're gonna take care of the oil pan. So you're not gonna really be able to see it, but there is a little tiny leak that's coming from the front seal of the oil pan. And when I did the oil pan, I ended up putting on one of the stock paper gaskets, and I just don't think that worked out so well. So I got this Felpro cork gasket. It's got a little bit of good thickness to it, and again, I'm going to use some of the Permatex Aviation on that to go ahead and just try to get that sealed up. I want to do this before I go ahead and put the tub on the body, so that way I don't have to work around it. So that's kind of what my mode of thinking is. So what I got the cherry picker here. I'm going to see if I can just try to lift the engine a little bit and not have to actually fully remove it, because I'd frankly rather not do that. But if I have to lift it up all the way, I got to lift it up all the way. Whatever it is to make it easiest for me to do this. I'm going to leave the transmission attached because I figure that why take that off when I can just lift it straight up. So I'll probably just undo bolts back here. I got to disconnect the exhaust. I need to do that anyways. And yeah, so let's get started. I'm gonna get the exhaust disconnected first. It's just gonna be a couple of screws, or bolts rather, to undo. Get that out of the way, and then we'll make a plan here to lift this motor. All right, so I got the rear portion of the exhaust removed. I'm having a heck of a time getting this part here removed. But I went ahead and I disconnected or unbolted the rear of the transmission. I think that what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and undo these 4 motor mount bolts, and then we'll probably just end up kind of gradually lifting and pushing to get this guy loose. So cross your fingers for me. Let's try to do this. There we go. All right, so here's how I've got it. I think I'm going to just try to do it right from here instead of trying to go any higher with it. I can see it. The only problem I'm really going to have is going to be getting back here behind the exhaust manifold. That's going to be a little bit tough. But the rest of it should be pretty easy. So I've already drained the oil out, so we're pretty much ready to go ahead and remove this. There might be a little bit of residual oil in the pan still, but I think we'll be good. So let me go ahead and get these bolts undone, see if we can free this guy up. All right, well, I got them all out, I think. I ended up just putting a socket on a swivel to get the one back behind the manifold. There was only one that gave me a hard time, and it really wasn't even that bad with the right tool. So I'm gonna see if I can just get up underneath here and try to pry this guy, because it's not coming off. There we go. There we go. Figure looking in here, look at the oil pan. I don't see any kind of little shimmers of metal or shavings, so well, there's 2 specks, 3 specks. There's a few in here. Not a lot though, so that's good, especially for a fresh rebuild. All right, let's go ahead and get this guy cleaned up and check in with you in a few. So I'm pretty sure I found the culprit where the leak was coming from, because this is oily, and I bet you that's right where it was. You can see that the RTV that I used didn't really work here, or I missed it, or I was thin, but this is going to be fun to clean up. So I'm going to take my time and get back with you all in a few. All right, well, this has been an exciting 2 hours. I have been scraping away and just cleaning this up. I got the pan done. The pan is pretty much good to go, although I'm running my finger across it, still finding a couple of little spots I want to clean up, but for the most part, it is done. And then come to the underside over here, and same deal. Got it cleaned up. Something that I learned on this is that I will never, ever, ever use RTV again. Absolutely abysmal stuff to work with to remove. And it didn't even work because it's leaked in the front, so yeah. But got it cleaned up back here pretty dang good. So I think we're okay. I wish I thought about this a little bit more, and I would have bought one of those pickup tubes from one of the later Spitfires while I was in here, but it's all right. This works. But yeah, so I need to go out to the mailbox. Got to go get that new Permatex, and then we can go ahead and get this oil pan put back on. All right, so we got the Permatex Aviation Forma gasket liquid sealant. It's very similar to the Super 300 that I was using before. I ran out of that, and I knew that Elin from Rusty Beauties likes to use the aviation grade stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on here, and then I'll lay the cork gasket, which I have here, on top of that, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a smear of this on the block itself. The instructions on this say to go ahead and apply it to both sides, and then we're going to go ahead and give it a few minutes to tack up and put this guy on. So let me get that going. All right, got the underside done, and come on over here. Got the pan. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this guy out, lay it on the pan, and start doing some fasteners. I'm going to go ahead and offer it up.
A little later.
All right, so I got this guy on. As you can see, the gasket bulges out a little bit everywhere that the bolts are. It feels like I may have over torqued it, but book says 16, and because I'm going with cork, my research showed that between 6 and 8 pounds is really what you want with cork. So I went with 8. So I guess we'll find out between the aviation and then cork. I hope this guy doesn't leak, but there's only one way to find out, but we still have to do this. So let's keep pressing on. And actually, why don't we get the motor back on first before we go ahead and start working with the water pump. All right, so we're gonna go down nice and slow like, just like we did going up, just the opposite. All right, got the motor mounts all torqued. Motor settled, seems to be pretty happy. I still have to tighten up the transmission, but I got it bolter landed. So at this point, it is now time for us to go ahead and move on to the water pump housing. And we'll just keep on keeping on. I got a little bit of time left in the day I can use, so try to make hay while the sun shines. So I'm gonna go ahead and again use the Super 300, just like I did before. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. All right, so it's the next day. I ended up having to go to Ace to pick up some new hardware. So I got a couple of grade 8 bolts here for this, and got that fastened up. So I think at this point, I'm probably gonna work and get the radiator put back in. Once I get the radiator in, we'll go ahead and fill it up with fluids, start it, and see if we fixed all of this. So wish me luck, let's get going. All right, well, let's see if we can maybe get this guy to start. It's been a few months. I've already tried to put some fuel into the lines coming from the gas can. So it's gonna take a little bit though to get into the carb bodies, so we expect that. But let's just go ahead and try to give it a couple of turns. Okay. Go ahead and open the choke. Let's see if we have any fuel in the bowls. If not, we can maybe squirt some in there, which may not be a bad idea. Yeah, there's no fuel in there. All right, let me see if I can pull some from a syringe and try this again. All right, got some fuels in the float bowls. Let's see what we can do. Where's that coming from? Some water that came in there. Got it started though, so that's a good thing. Right here. Saw a little drip of water. Is it maybe coming from here? All right, well, let's try it again. Just keep an eye on for leaks everywhere. All right, there's a little bit of water seepage there. Before I run too much on this, I'm actually gonna go ahead and see if I can fix that real quick. Just coming out of the top hose. All right, I primed it using a syringe to get fuel into the float bowls by putting fuel into the fuel lines, and it all pushed up and through here to the float bowls. So let's try it again. Valve pressure's good. We were getting up the temp. I'm seeing a few drops of water down here. I'm going to check that out real quick. See if that was just what was being spilled or what. All right. I'm going to try to run it again. See if I can get it to idle. Because that seems to be the challenge here. All right, well, there we go. That's it. Got a good run in there. Ran it for about 15 minutes up to temperature and let it idle for a bit. I have planned to adjust the idle a little bit, but really I'm not going to mess around with that too much more until I get the chassis or the tub on the chassis and I get the linkage hooked up, because I know that's going to kind of play with it a little bit. So outside of that, though, I did do a check around underneath. I didn't see any water leaks. I didn't see any oil leaks. So fingers crossed and knock on wood, this was a successful project. So I'm not going to say what the next step is. I think you guys know what it is, but I'm not going to say it because every time I do that, I jinx myself. But make sure you go ahead and stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you like this stuff. Make sure you click the bell to get those post notifications. And we're working on project cars like this. Remember to take your time with the car, take your time with the project, and don't use paper gaskets. And most importantly, though, don't be the dreaded previous owner. Cheers.